Hello all, I'm Nye, and welcome to Now Playing. I'm sure a good amount of us have been in that really common position in a video game, where you leveled up a few times, you went out to explore again, and found that enemies were not dropping as fast as they used to, because your equipment has not kept up with your leveling. Now it's just too dull, and your armor is too weak. Just doesn't make for good gaming. So you went back to town in order to buy some new items, some new armor, and some new weapons. That way you could actually stand a chance. Thing is, that's gotten boring now, and we all know it. Mostly because there's that same old bastard who keeps on saying, "It's dangerous to go alone. Here, take this." Well, we need a new angle. Welcome to Recettear, an item shop's tale. The concept is simple, really. You're a girl, Recette, who owns an item shop. You must stock it with items to sell, haggle with the customers that come in, and make a profit. Why? Because your dad took out a loan for his adventuring needs, and, now that he's gone, you must pay it back. Each week, you must meet a certain quota to pay back the loan company, or they'll take everything you own as payment, leaving you penniless and homeless. So off to work. Gameplay in Recettear focuses on three main areas. The first is the shop, where you spend most of your time. Think of any shop you've seen in Zelda games the like, where you walk around and pick up single items off the table to bring to the cashier. That's how your shop works. And the nice thing is, you do get to pick up single items and put them out to sell. If one item is selling better than another, replace it. If you want to make your store look better, you can also change the wallpaper, the flooring, the carpets. You can even add vending machines to sell faster when you are otherwise occupied. And when you're ready, open the store and let the customers flood in. Each will have their own individual requests. Some will want to sell to you, others are going to want to buy, some are going to want to place orders. All of it takes time, but it's all going to make you money and require you to be good at haggling. Thankfully, it's a skill that's not too hard to learn. Once capitalism loses its appeal, you can leave the store and go to town for a variety of errands. The Merchant's Guild is there to sell you low-cost adventuring equipment, which you can then mark up and sell at a profit. You can also fuse items from your inventory to get the rarer ones that sell for an increased price. You can also expand your store here in order to sell more items all at once and cater to a larger crowd. Going to the market will get you the more mundane items. The chapel, the pub, and the town square are there purely for the vignettes that the game uses to do story progression and character interaction. They're lots of fun, and have great humor in them. But, for your actual gameplay, you're going to want to go to the Adventurers Guild. The Adventurers Guild is where you're going to go in order to do some dungeon crawling. You'll take one of several heroes out to the dungeon to kill enemies and get drops, which can be sold at 100% profit, which makes getting your debt paid off that much easier. Here, you're actually going to play as the hero as opposed to Recette. And you will be able to smack things, use special abilities, and pick up items. I will say that dungeon crawling is where one of my few detractions from the game comes from. Namely, as you see me hitting things and killing things, you'll notice them dropping little jewels. My problem is, the jewels don't seem to do anything, and are only there to enhance the dungeon crawling experience. While red does seem to give you experience, green does not give you health, blue does not give you special powers, and yellow doesn't seem to do anything in the slightest. Maybe gold for the adventurer, but I haven't noticed much of a difference. Slightly confusing, and would have been helpful to know before I started relying on it to give me health. And then I died and realized that it wasn't actually doing it. Now, dungeon diving happens in 5 level increments. On level 5, you're going to fight a boss character. Each boss is unique, only used once or twice, usually in the final dungeon will be their second showing, and each of them has a specific pattern of attacks and specific patterns of weaknesses. Certain level 5s are actually going to be your extra characters. Beat them to unlock them, you may have to do a few other things to do so, and then move on. Once you beat the boss at level 5, you'll then have the option of leaving the dungeon, which is usually what you're going to want to do, because your bag is going to be full at that point. Yes, unfortunately, we can only fit so many items in our bag at once, and we're going to have to go back to town to unload, or we're going to decide to start dropping items, which is never a fun thing. As I said, dungeon crawling is a great way to make money, because all of your drops have 100% profit. The problem is, it takes time. Each of the game's days is split into 4 parts: morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Dungeon crawling takes 2 sections of these, opening your shop takes 1, and going out on the town takes 1 all by itself. Each day will pass as soon as you finish up the night section and move on to the next morning. You only have 7 days between each payment, and if you fail at that payment, you will lose and have to start again. So you want to make sure that whatever you choose, you're using your time wisely and making enough money. Story-wise, Recettear doesn't have too much to offer. Tear, a fairy, comes to get Resette's father's loan repaid. When Recette makes it clear there's no money, Tear suggests turning Resette's house into an item shop to pay back the debt. Or, repossess. Recette agrees, of course, and Tear teaches her how to run the shop. This story, along with everything from start to finish, is shown in vignettes. Small little scenes that show interaction between the characters showing how things progress. You'll see some of them in the town square, pub, and chapel areas of the main screen. The rest will appear before and after dungeons and just in the shop as time passes. What Recettear does not do in storyline, it makes up with its vignettes, the short little scenes between Recette, Tear, and the NPCs. And while the scenes with the regular NPCs, the old man, the young girl, the gentleman, and the housewife, are pretty good, the best ones are with the named NPCs, and especially the heroes. Most of these have ongoing stories that, while not particularly important, are quite funny. And yes, there's even a take over the world plot too. The game's especially notable because of its humor. While not American-made, it does have superb localization. The jokes are spot on, it has great lines, and I've gotta say, Resette's catchphrase, "Capitalism, ho!" is funny as hell. I want to use that in my store. In addition to the humor, many of the scenes will also lead to something, including the unlocking of new heroes. The controls in Recettear are simple, optimized for control pad, but easy on the computer as well. Your D-pad or your arrows are going to control your character, and A plus B on the controller or Z plus X on the keyboard will do your menu controls and dungeon crawling attacks. Button 3 or C on the keyboard will be used for things like checking item stats and changing your special attacks, and button 4 or V is used purely for camera control. The controls feel solid and natural and are very reminiscent of old computer games and regular platformers. The graphics are good for what they are, 3D with 2D sprites, think Disgaea. Well drawn, honestly, and they look good. The visuals definitely fit with the gameplay, fit with the humor, fit with the storyline. Not amazingly impressive, but they do what is needed. Sound-wise, the sound effects are fairly okay, nothing to write home about. The music is catchy, if unmemorable. The voices are all in Japanese, what there is, leaving them not amazingly helpful for American players, but at least by tone we can tell what's going on, and it's enjoyable. They're in the right places. As for length and replayability, there is a fair amount. Recettear has a main game, which lasts between 5 and 15 hours, depending on if you dungeon crawl and how much, if you just buy items and sell them straight out, and if you even know what you're doing. When you beat that, you have New Game Plus. Take all of your current stuff, minus your expansions on your shop and your current money, and start again. Your heroes even retain their current level and inventory. There is the survival mode, in which your debts just keep on growing and you'll never pay them off, and we just get to see exactly how good you are at selling stuff. Survival Hell is the same thing, but with much higher debts, and endless modes are done at the end of new games, where you actually keep playing with no debt in order to achieve more. There will be items there that you've never seen before, and there will also be dungeons you haven't seen. There's even cutscenes that continue after the game ends. There's also an item catalog for you to finish off if you're a completionist, because there are just so many items in the game. At the end of the day, the game costs $20, but it's actually worth $30 or more. It's gonna last you a long time. If you enjoy the humor, even more than that. It is definitely a game that was well worth the money I paid for it, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who wishes to try.